What's up, guys? It's your boy Zowoki back at it with another crime talk with me. And we're going to be taking a look at, obviously, what you guys have been wanting is more of the Watts murders and Nichol Kessinger, Chris Watts, and stuff like that. And you guys are sending me tons of information. And now I'm kind of shocked because apparently this was a complete cover up with the police officers. I'm not saying that they did, but apparently there's evidence to support this. There's also evidence that Chris knew Nichol at a gym before Anadarko. They just made the Anadarko incident by email look like an accident, which we're going to take a look at that. But before we go any further, if you could do me a solid favor, is subscribe to the YouTube channel by hitting that white icon down at the bottom right. Hit the bell icon next to it. So I do post videos like this one. You'll get that little ring notification that I've posted that video. Then you guys can watch, comment, like, and share. And again, thank you so very much for the love and support. We're just about to hit 24,000 subscribers. Never thought I would see the day, but it's because you guys at home. Make sure you guys are doing that by hitting that subscribe button. It's free to do. And with that being said, also, if you could comment your thoughts, theories, inquiries, your opinions. I probably said that already, but like the theories are getting out of hand. Like I would say in a bad way, but they're just like there's so many different ones that could happen. Like I was reading one the other day and I was just like, you know what? That probably could happen too. I'm just floored. But then looking at this evidence that apparently with Chris Watts and his truck and the crime scene and stuff like that, it's actually starting to get scary that it could have been a cover up the entire time. Somebody covered up, and we're going to take a look. So with that being said, let's get into videos.
So not only is NK the poster child for the Denver Broncos, but if you look closely, this is a venture between the Children's Hospital, UC Health, King Soopers, and 24-Hour Fitness, where Chris went as he was trying to lose weight when the Rucheks lived with them. And because the Rucheks were downstairs where all of his workout equipment was, he joined the gym. What do you guys think about this? Subscribe for more.
I don't know about the workout gym stuff. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, but let's take a look at the cover-up evidence. Who was in the Watts truck and stuff like that. Let's take a look.
What are the biggest discrepancies, issues, and questions
Look at his neck.
surrounding the Watts case? When it comes to the issues and questions, they come in a few forms. First of all, there are the literal discrepancies that we find within the documents that make up the 1,960-page discovery about the Watts case.
So many pages.
There are issues of integrity in the investigation. Questions have come up like, why wasn't this person or that person questioned by the authorities? Or particularly in the case of Chris Watts' former mistress, why wasn't she pressed further for precise details when she was questioned by investigators? There are also questions about whether or not Chris Watts' confessed timeline is realistic or not. There are legitimate questions regarding whether or not the very details of Chris Watts' confession are possible given the evidence that law enforcement has collected, at least the evidence that we have access to. There are questions about the evidence itself. Why was some evidence collected but it wasn't analyzed? And perhaps the biggest question is, did Chris Watts commit this crime on his own?
No.
Or is there unfinished justice in the name of the victims, Shanann, Bella Celeste, and unborn baby Nico? Was anyone else involved in this horrific crime?
Yes.
Let's start by identifying the big question. Was anyone else with Chris Watts, or did anyone else help him out with this crime?
Yes.
Let's listen to a small portion of Chris Watts' interview with Tammy Lee and FBI Special Agent Graham Coder before he was arrested.
I'm hoping this is where, because I've actually watched his interrogation and stuff like that, he actually slips up and says, "We dug the hole," and then later on retracts it and goes, "No, I mean, why would you say we?" So
This is when they're trying to break him down and get the truth out of him. It's just before his father, Ronnie Watts, comes into the interrogation or interview room to speak with him. And let's hear what Graham Coder and Tammy Lee are saying about what they think happened that awful morning.
Like, there's nothing. Just because I
Chris, people can be pushed to the point where they do something that they regret.
which is stupid.
It happens every single day.
I know.
But part of what makes you a man is the guy that goes, "I really fucked up, but this is what I did, and I'm gonna pay for what I did."
If he was
And
a
I'm
man,
gonna
he
pay
would have
for
not done that.
Be honest about it.
Chris, we can keep talking to you once we find these girls, okay? So once we find these girls and your wife, right? No matter how we find them, no matter what condition they're in, we can keep talking to you. You can tell us it's not as bad as it looks. And you can say, let me tell you what happened. I was never comfortable with you, Graham, or with you, Tam. No, I wasn't comfortable yet. But now that everything's known, now that these girls are found and Shanann's found, however they're found, it's okay. We can keep talking to you. Okay?
Chris, did Shanann do something to them?
No, I don't know.
I'm serious.
I have no clue.
No, you would have known, because they didn't leave the house.
Like, when,
Did Shanann do something to them, and then did you feel like you had to do something to
Reverse
Shanann?
tactic.
they were at the house when I left. They were there.
They weren't there. They didn't leave. They vanished.
They were
The
there.
only way they could have left is in your truck.
There's no way, because, like, I didn't just throw them in my truck.
You know your truck has GPS,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because you even told your boss, like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm going through separation, I'm maybe staying
Yeah.
at a friend's house, whatever. You know that thing pings every 10 seconds?
Yep.
So we will know
You can't turn
exactly
it off.
I don't.
And
where
your-
you went.
And your company's giving that to us.
So there, you heard Colorado Bureau of Investigation's Tammy Lee say it herself. She knows that Shanann, Bella, and Celeste left in Chris Watts' work truck. The investigators know that. There's really no other way they could have left unless they left through the back, which some people keep open as a possibility.
They think that
and
too.
we really cannot rule it out.
That's where I think Nicole came in, because she was there helping. I know she was. Her phone pinged in Frederickson, Colorado the morning of, and she was late to work. She didn't show up on time. She clocked out early. It was so weird. So that's why my partake is on Nicole being involved in this.
Since this case was not completely investigated. The question I have regarding the evidence that is presented in the discovery documents is, if Tammy Lee and the investigators knew or felt they knew that the family left in Chris Watts' work truck, then why did they handle the evidence that was taken from Chris Watts' work truck in the way that they ultimately did?
What'd they do?
Let me explain. In the discovery, there's a detailed description of how each vehicle was handled, both Shanann's Lexus and Chris Watts' work truck, the Ford F-250. So we're particularly interested in this part under
Okay.
scene investigation and vehicles. It says on Tuesday, August 21st, 2018 at 1600 hours, myself and FSK Henson arrived at a certain location to process and execute a search warrant for the two vehicles which possibly had been used to transport the deceased victims in the case. So going down to the third paragraph, after a brief discussion, it was decided that CBI would photograph, collect, and package all evidence located. CBI would also use adhesive-based rollers and collect any possible hairs, fibers, and other trace evidence from the Ford truck in an attempt to determine any recent possible occupants of the vehicle.
Let me guess. Wasn't ever done.
What I find to be of particular interest is the notation that the adhesive rollers collecting evidence, also known, guys, as trace lifts, was for the purpose of
Finding hair.
detecting any possible passengers or people that were transported in that vehicle. So, given that Tammy Lee herself told us and told Chris Watts that one thing she knew was that Shanann, Bella, and Celeste were transported away from their house, 2825 Saratoga Trail, in his work truck, you would think that they would want to collect all evidence and analyze all possible evidence related to Chris Watts' work truck. Wouldn't you think?
Yes.
The only way they could have left is in your truck. The only way they could have left is in your truck.
Nichol Kessinger turned out to have information that I can best describe as being a bombshell.
Initially, you drew concern from me when you told me you deleted everything from Chris. I've already told you that. You understand why? There's no question as to why that might cause concern. So,
okay, my friend. So there you heard Tammy Lee telling Chris Watts that she knows that Bella, Celeste, and his wife Shanann left their home in his work truck, and they were missing at the time. He hadn't confessed at all yet. And then we have D.A. Rourke describing the information Nichol Kessinger gave law enforcement as being bombshell information. And then we have CBI's agent Kevin Kobach talking to Miss Kessinger and saying, initially you drew concern for me when you deleted all of your text messages between yourself and Chris Watts, and there's no question as to why that is. So what have we established? We have established that investigators know that Chris's missing family left the home in his work truck, that Miss Kessinger is a big part of this investigation, according to D.A. Rourke, bombshell information. And then we have the multiple interviews with Nichol Kessinger and Kevin Kobach in which she repeatedly lies about why she deleted her messages.
And she looks at the camera like hundreds of times. It's so creepy. I've watched the 3-hour video of the interrogation. It's a joke on her part. Like it, I don't even know how the cops were like, yeah, she's clear. She's good to go. What? I couldn't believe it. Like, it was just ridiculously stupid that they're like, okay, we're going to let her go. Why didn't we hook up her to lie detector test? Why didn't we fingerprint her? Why didn't we do a lint trap in the truck? Like, there's things that could have been done. Like, what happened to CSI? Why don't they do that stuff? They're like, nope, Chris confessed. We're done. We're over. Stamp the envelope. This case has been solved. No, it's not. It's far from completed.
The text messages between herself and Chris Watts and any information that relates to Chris Watts on her phone, Kobach comes straight out and tells her, you're shady. Considering investigators know that Miss Kessinger knows so much that she has such an intimate and close relationship with Chris Watts right up until the day his family went missing, and they also know that she has been dishonest, she destroyed evidence in this case, this triple plus homicide case. And these investigators, they don't really know what part she may have played leading up to, during the murders, or in the attempted cover-up of the murders. They also know that Chris Watts' work truck played a pivotal part in this crime. Don't you think they would want to know exactly who was in that truck, and particularly if Miss Kessinger was in that truck with Chris Watts? And even if they were going to protect her, even if they didn't care if Kessinger was in that truck with Chris Watts, don't you think that they would want to corroborate his confession and prove scientifically, with scientific evidence, that his confession was true? That the body of his deceased wife and his alive children were in the back of his work truck on that drive from Saratoga Trail to Survey 319.
4 to 5 minute drive.
Wouldn't you think they would want to know that if they had the evidence right at their fingertips? There are many shortcomings from an investigative standpoint in this case that I and many others find shocking, but this one I always find to be among the most stunning of them all. Let me read you part of this supplement from the discovery. It should be noted that on September 4th, 2018, while running through the evidence submission list with lab tech Patricia Lopez, several items were listed that CBI Lab ultimately did not wish to take possession of at that time. Those items are crossed out on the evidence submission form, which has been added to the case file. The refused items are as follows. I'm going to read the last 3 items. Driver's side seat cover from work truck.
Why?
Trace lift from center console of Chris Watts' work truck. And trace lift from back seat driver's side of Chris Watts' work truck.
Why?
The items that were not taken by CBI are transported back to the Frederick Police Department and checked into evidence. Nothing further.
Why were those last ones not added?
So, my friends, what that means is the trace lifts that were taken from Chris Watts' work truck
Were thrown out.
for the purpose of determining if any other occupants were in that truck. That evidence was actually collected. But CBI, Colorado Bureau of Investigation, chose to not send that evidence to their labs to analyze the evidence, to determine what DNA could be found, what hair could be found, what other evidence, trace evidence could be found that would decisively identify what, if any, occupants were in Chris Watts' work truck, and they could also determine if those occupants were alive or deceased.
That's nuts. And they were thrown out, not collected?
Now, when I've brought this issue up before, people might refute it by saying, oh, well, maybe, well, hey, right there it says they didn't wish to take it into evidence at that time.
But why, though?
Maybe they analyze this evidence another time. But, guys, we know that's not the case, because District Attorney Rourke went with the story that Shanann, Bella, and Celeste were all murdered in their home at 2825 Saratoga Trail until Tammy Lee, Dave Baumhover, and Graham Coder went to interview Chris Watts in prison after he was already serving his 5 consecutive life sentences on February 18th, 2018, over 3 months after his sentencing. At that time, Chris Watts then gave them a more complete confession, informing them of what apparently really happened, that Shanann's life was taken at the home, and that sweet little Bella and Celeste made that car ride from Saratoga Trail to Survey 319, 45 minutes, alive, with their mother's body on the floorboard beneath their
That's
feet.
what was wrong with Mommy.
And it wasn't until they arrived at Survey 319 did they take their last breaths. People who were involved in law enforcement, and unanimously, they believe that this trace lift in DNA evidence would have determined if Shanann, Bella, and Celeste were in fact in that truck, if if Nichol Kessinger or any other party was in fact in that truck, and if those occupants were in fact alive or deceased. So the question remains, why did CBI choose to not
use it.
analyze this critical evidence that had already been collected?
They didn't want it. Why? Justice will not be served until those are affected are as outraged who are. Benjamin Franklin. Amen. I like that quote.
I have all these things.
Bella wants another sister or brother. What do you want? Do you want another brother or sister?
Sister.
You want another sister?
Yes.
So that being said, guys, I mean, the information is there. I mean, why did they not collect this? I mean, there's going to be people that are going to be like, they probably didn't need it. But if you have hair follicles and so forth, wouldn't you want to put it in the system and just be like, okay, rule this out as, okay, it was Shanann's, it was Bella's, it was Cece's, whatever have you. But there have been people that have come forward apparently and said they saw Chris and Nichol in that truck that morning. So why wasn't it collected? Why wasn't it looked at? I have no idea, to be honest. That's the stupidest thing. I mean, watching CSI, they literally did everything. I mean, it was a movie, TV show, whatever have you. But they literally should be every fingerprint, every fiber, every hair piece that they find should be thrown into the database to figure out whose it is, whoever it is, then rule it out, and then be like, oh yeah, it's Shanann's. We knew she was in the truck because she was deceased at the time. The girls, we see them. They were in the truck. Okay. Oh, wait, this is a female donor that we don't have any records of. So let's put it against our database. Why is that not being done? There's so many things in this case that either was overlooked, not looked, passed aside, thrown away. They pretty much got a complete confession from Chris, and they're like, yep, we're done. This murder didn't even go to trial. He wasn't in front of his peers, a jury of his peers. Nobody, they just were like, yep, Chris murdered it, 5 consecutive life sentences. He's going away for life. Great, fantastic. But he's not the only one. I'm just telling you that right now. I still wholeheartedly believe that Nichol Kessinger was 100% involved. Physically, I don't know. But by throwing all that evidence away, deleting it, and sort of like that, you cannot change my mind. But there are other people on here that are actually defending Nichol, saying there's no evidence on her. She's a free woman. She can do everything. Yeah, she, 1, destroyed a family. 2, destroyed evidence. 3, lied to police officers about her whereabouts. 4, had a phone pinged the morning of the murders. And then had a phone call for 111 minutes before the murders happened that night and couldn't recollate or what's that word? Regulate? No. Remember anything about that phone call? I'm telling you guys, it has made no sense. The rabbit hole keeps going deeper. It's made me on an emotional roller coaster. I'm finding more and more new evidence like this. I didn't know that they just threw out this evidence. They just were like, yep, we're not taking it. Why? I never knew about this. So comment your guys' thoughts down below. Let me know. For the people that are new here, subscribe. Tell me your thoughts. And the people that are returning, hit the like button. And we'll see you guys in the next video. So keep it real. Keep it safe. Please keep it safe. And as always, keep nerding on. And we'll see you guys next time.